I saw this tweet. So some of the players are speaking now. Greg Newsome was talking. Joe Bitonio.
Let it out. It's not your fault.
Speak. It's not your fault.
It's not your fault.
John Johnson. Listen to this comment from John Johnson.
There you go.
I'm reading Hayden Grove's tweet.
Okay.
John Johnson said that in his exit interviews, his biggest thing was that the entire building needs a sense of urgency. Felt that was lacking. Said he hopes a new coordinator will help bring a spark.
That speaks to exactly what we've been talking about all year that we thought we were seeing with our eyes. There's just no leadership at the top. There's no fire in there.
The problem is, if you're going to have a head coach who's a chill head coach, then you got to have a defensive coordinator
Good cop, bad cop.
Who's like a crazy guy. You got to have one or the other.
Do you have a name for us?
I like Brian
10
Flores.
names.
I know you're anti-Patriot guy, and I am too. But I'm only anti-Patriot guy for head coaches, not for coordinators.
And you know what? I would not be against Flores.
Yeah.
I know my knee-jerk reaction was yes,
right.
But because of the success he had in Miami, because of his unceremonious dumping,
right?
I think we might be onto something with Flores. Now, where are you guys?
Listen, I would take Flores today if they're going to have him, but he's going to be highly sought after.
I think he will.
He's one of the names that people going to want to get out there. Now, I got some names. I like this Avero guy. He's the defense.
Denver.
He led Denver.
And for anyone who doesn't know,
I had no clue who he was.
I'm with him. This is his first year as a defensive coordinator. Broncos' defense was phenomenal this year. Their offense was abysmal. That's
he wasn't the DC, though.
Yes, he was.
Yes, he was.
Oh, he's the DC?
He's the DC,
first year.
So how can he go to the Browns? Oh, because coach got fired.
First in points allowed, second in yards, and second in EPA.
And that's with getting no help from the
He could get the head coach job there because I don't think Peyton's going to take that job. I don't. If I'm Sean Payton, I'm not going anywhere near that job.
Unless you're convinced you can turn around Russell Wilson.
And I didn't see anything.
I doubt that.
What I like about what he said, McVay said, he's incredibly smart, intelligent, great disposition, great demeanor. He knows how to connect with all types of guys, knows how to be able to help them reach their highest potential. He's an absolute stud.
You know, you guys kind of rolled your eyes at Quentin Mayo a little bit. But
Gerard.
Gerard Mayo, not Quentin Mayo. A lot of people are
high on him.
He was really the defensive coordinator for the Patriots this year. Just Belichick didn't give him the title because Belichick does all this weird stuff.
Well, I thought Steve was his defensive coordinator.
Well, I guess they did it together.
And here's the thing I've learned through the years. I don't care who is called the DC. Bill's the DC.
That's true. That's fair. But a lot of people like that I respect, football guys, are all saying they think he's an up-and-coming great.
Yeah, but I can go back and pull quotes from you.
Of course, sure.
That will tell you all about every of these
Patriot
coordinators that went on to fail miserably.
Yes.
His coaching tree is bare. There's no bark on the tree. There's no fruit. There's no leaves. There's nothing.
What
it's
about
a bunch
Lovie
of
Smith?
sticks. I mean, okay, if you want to judge his entire career, fail.
No. What about Lovie Smith for the Browns defense?
No,
absolutely not.
I don't want him.
We're down on Lovie?
You know what? I'm going to throw a name out there, and I know it's going to get great reaction. But I'm serious.
Don't say Greg Williams.
Greg Williams.
No.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm about results.
Yeah, but
the guy's an ass kicker.
Yeah, but if you look
there was a thread through the building when he was there of nastiness, of just being dogs.
Healthy fear.
I don't know. If you look at his history, everybody always thought he was overhyped. His defenses were always kind of mediocre everywhere he was. I just don't think he's that good. He didn't even have a job this year. Was he even in the league?
I don't think so.
I got two.
But I'll take him back.
Jim Schwartz, which doesn't
It's another Belichick guy.
I know.
Jim Schwartz doesn't make me feel excited in the way that the other guys do. I mean, he was with the Titans this year. But I'm going to tell you, Mike Zimmer.
Well, I mentioned Mike Zimmer for a while now.
Mike Zimmer.
What is he going to do, though, now?
They told me, I've heard that.
Isn't he at Jackson?
He's at Colorado.
Colorado with
yeah.
But he's a special assistant. He's not like the D coordinator. And people thought he was going to come to take the defensive coordinator position. He's not going to do that, which means I don't know if he wants that workload.
Right.
What about the hierarchy where Zimmer was once Stefanski's boss? and now Stefanski would be Zimmer's boss.
Listen, that means they should be able to work together real good.
Give me the name of one of your subordinates when you were a manager at your previous job.
Who is it?
Roscoe.
By the way, the Cardinals have officially fired Kingsbury.
Yeah, that's not a shock.
I got 2 more names for you guys, by the way.
I see what you're saying. There
Yeah,
was a
now
guy
can you
named
go
Jack.
work for him if he's at another company? He says, "Hey, G. Bush, come be my guy." That's tough, bro.
It's
You
tough.
got to bury that ego. This is a business that's.
That is a thing. Now, if he's older, there's a guy on here, Coach Eric Washington. He actually was my defensive line coach at Ohio University.
Where did he play?
He
Was he with the Buccaneers? Did he play in the NFL?
No, he didn't. He
Okay.
coached under Eddie Robinson in Grambling.
Oh, okay.
That's where he got to start. Then he left there, went to the Chicago Bears as defensive line coach. Then he was the defensive coordinator during the year where they went to the Super Bowl for the Carolina Panthers.
Okay.
Now he's a special assistant. I believe he's with. See where he's at. He's with the Buffalo Bills now. He's been there since 2020 as a senior defensive assistant, defensive line coach under
his
Leslie
next-
Frazier.
So he would be a guy that the progression would make sense if he was
Yes.
to get a DC job.
Yeah.
I got 2
So
more
our
names.
Black Monday, so far we've got 2 coaches. Well, really, I don't know
Lovie
how.
Smith was last night.
Yeah, everybody knew that was coming too. But we're at 2 postseason, right? After the season ending. Normally that number is 7, between 7 and 8.
But there's more coaches that get fired during the season now. So Black Monday is
It's
exactly,
happened-
exactly the same. Hey, 2 more names to add to the defensive coordinator list of candidates. Jim Leonard.
Oh, that's the other one.
You
I
mentioned-
like that.
Oh, no, you meant, okay.
Love
But
that.
Jim Leonard's only coached I know he played in the NFL, but
Yeah,
he's
he's-
only coached in college.
Yeah, that's it.
And the other one, and this is a long shot, I don't think he would come to Cleveland, but D'Amico Ryans, the DC of the 49ers, who's interviewing for head coaches.
Yeah, he's not
and
coming here as a
The only reason I
DC.
would even put him on the wish list is because if he looks at the situation as his potential interim into full-time head coaching position with Stefanski in the hot seat, because that's certainly not happening with Shanahan.
Would you
in San
guys be
Francisco.
opposed to naming the new DC the associate head coach?
If it's going to get a good guy,
So
absolutely not.
that might be a situation where
Yes.
if you tell D'Amico you're coming and you're the associate head coach, that gives him the peace of mind that if they do pivot from Stefanski, he's in line.
The only thing I'll say is I think he might be in line for a head coaching job.
He probably is.
I mean,
would
there's
imagine he
there's
is.
5 openings right now.
Yeah. I
don't
mean,
know
their
if
defense, it's incredible where they are. So everybody talks about the importance of quarterback.
Right.
Well, look at what the Niners have done at quarterback this year. Nothing. They've had 3 different guys.
Yeah.
None of them are life changers.
Man.
And here they are. Are they the 1 seed or the 2 in the West?
the 2.
They finished behind Philly.
Yes.
Now, they're doing it with an all-time great defense, but remember, if you take a look at where the Niners are and where the Browns were when the season started, there's not a whole lot of difference there. We thought our defense would be a top 5
We did
defense.
the topic. Which roster is more talented?
Right.
We did.
Yeah,
And
well,
there were guys on that Browns defense that said, we're not going to be a top 5. We're going to be the best defense. So the similarities between the 49ers season and the Browns season are really, really stark.
I would
It's
say,
the
though,
stir- it's straw that stirs the drink.
we were wrong. The 49ers roster minus quarterback is one of the best in the NFL. It's better than
But
the
coming
Browns.
into this season, we all sat here and said,
we were all wrong in being biased, I think. I think so, G.
no.
Well, not to mention they acquired
No.
Christian McCaffrey. That's
Well,
a pretty.
that
they-
was a
difference
huge
maker.
They got Christian McCaffrey.
we've got
The
Nick Chubb.
difference-
Yeah, but he's not the all-around player that McCaffrey is in the passing game.
No, but he's
But Nick Chubb was better than Christian McCaffrey this year. He's been better than him in the last 3 years. He could have got 2,000 yards this year.
Yeah, but that's because McCaffrey's been hurt. But when McCaffrey's healthy, he's a factor in the passing game, which Nick Chubb is not really.
Nick Chubb does not get to rock. Let's just be clear.
He was 3rd in carries, G. He got the rock.
did he finish 3rd at the end of the year?
Yes.
Here's
finished
Even
third.
after yesterday,
Here's
because I
what-
thought he would drop with only 12.
Here's what I'm saying. To me, if you poll the people in the league,
Yeah.
who's better, Nick Chubb or Christian
Yes,
McCaffrey?
they
Chubb's
should.
gonna
Nick
win
Chubb
that.
is going to win.
I don't know about that.
I
Yeah.
guarantee he's going
I
to
mean,
say
there's
that.
no question that
Niners got
McCaffrey's
better
more
receivers.
diverse.
So you got Debo Samuel.
They got a better tight end.
They got a better tight end. But here's the thing.
Well, I mean, if you look at it,
If it's comparable-
the pay structure for these tight ends,
Same
I
difference.
hear you, but
And
George
Njoku's-
Kittle, when healthy, is a lot better than David Njoku.
Well,
which is why I said they gave him too much money when they paid him
I
like
agreed with you. And he didn't really. I mean, he was pretty good.
They got Trent Williams. They got Trent Williams. You got Joe Bitonio. Right. They've got Bosa.
We've
you
got
Myles Garrett.
Right.
So the pieces are comparable.
They top to bottom have a much better defense.
No, we
yes,
can't.
we
Can't
we
revision.
did not sit here before the season.
I know that. We were wrong. We don't know the Niners as well as we know the Vikings.
You know where you losing that bad at? Shanahan Stefanski.
By the way,
it's not just that. It's not just that. Obviously, Shanahan's better.
Is there a bigger gap in talent?
Give
or
me
bigger
John
gap
Lynch,
in coaching?
too, as our general manager.
I think it's equal.
I think the gap in coaching for the Cleveland Browns, we just talk about DeMeco Ryans. You talk about Shanahan and what he's able to do in the innovation and with a quarterback who's less than Jacoby Brissett. That's all you need to say. That's all.
Well, who's less than Jacoby Brissett?
This new dude. Who's in his name?
Well, first of all,
well,
this
not
guy's
just
played.
him. They've gone through three quarterbacks this year.
First of all, Garoppolo's better than Jacoby Brissett.
He is.
We all know that.
Yeah.
This kid, we don't know what he is, but all we know is he's played great in the 5 games he's played. Now, he may be nothing. I don't know.
Remember, though, Garoppolo didn't even start the season.
I know, but Trey Lance got hurt in the first game.
Yeah, but still, I mean, he wasn't their starting quarterback. When they broke camp.
No, I know that, but we're talking about, you said they won with a worse quarterback. They didn't win with a worse quarterback because Garoppolo is better than Brissett.
But Watson is better than all of them. And we had him for a third of the season.
But we had him for 6 games.
That's a third of the season.
I hear you, but Brock Purdy has played well.
How many games he played?
Testament to their coach.
He played 5 games.
Oh, no.
I can say,
5 games? That's a lot of games in its doggone. You could go 1-4 and this season will be over.
Sure. Listen, obviously I'm not debating that Stefanski's a better coach. Obviously Shanahan's a better coach. I'm just saying the 49ers are a more talented team. Minus quarterback.
You know, when we did that exercise, Aditi was on. And Aditi also said, guys, it's real close, and I might give the edge to the Browns. She's a neutral observer.
I can't say that the 49ers have superior talent to the Browns. I can say this. Under the Browns' underdevelopment, I don't know what I have with the Browns. I don't know what these guys are, right? That's what I can honestly
And so that's where a coach is so important. Right. Clearly in San Francisco, they were getting a lot more
value out of what they have.
Out of a Brock Purdy, who was the biggest question mark, going.
Again, though,
by the way,
we don't know that he's not good.
With Brock Purdy, and this is just throwing fuel to the fire real quick, he started 6 games for the 49ers this year, threw 13 touchdowns.
Yeah.
6 games.
I mean, we can't just say he stinks because he was a late draft pick.
We're not. What we're saying is he was a nobody that was coached up to be a player that helped them get the 2 seed.
Have had other quarterbacks fill in for Garoppolo, and they've all stunk in the past. So it's not like he's done that with every quarterback.
I mean,
I don't know the others that filled in for Garoppolo.
Who filled in for Garoppolo?
Garoppolo's hurt every year.
No, who filled in for him?
They've had Nick Mullins.
Yeah, exactly. Those guys are all terrible.
Beathard.
Hell, Mullins played well when he was there.
Look, man.
He had some moments.
Listen, it ain't close. The man Shanahan.
But let's be honest. None of us can name more than 3 players on the Niners defense. So there's no way we can know who's got the better defense.
No, but the one thing that you can look at, which is apples to apples, are just the points against, the rankings, and the 49ers have one of the best defenses in the NFL.
Yes, but I think they're also more talented there.
And coming into the season, everyone on this panel thought that the Browns were going to have one of the best defenses in the NFL.
We were, but we deluded ourselves. Let's be honest.
There's probably some of that going on.
The secondary underachieved, no doubt. Yeah. But the front 7 was not that good, and we thought it was better than it was.
No. We did not. I didn't say none of that. I said you got 2 ball players and you need D tackles. I've never championed these D tackles.
That's fair.
Or backers. 7. I said front 7.
Or backers. None of them. I don't like none of them. I don't like you got 2 cats.
Well, then we overrated the defense as a whole, knowing that the front 7 wasn't that good.
We thought Myles Garrett was Superman, and he's supposed to make every tackle.
Right.
Biggest hole to fill for 2023.
I actually think, as bad as D tackle is, I think it's speed wide receiver.
Wow, really?
I actually think the same those too.
Are you talking about position?
Biggest area of need for the Browns in the offseason.
You got to shore up that D line.
Yeah, I'm with you.
That's awful.
Now, it's a valid point. They have nobody that can take the top off this defense, and that's a problem.
I mean, they need both of those
But
things.
they supposedly drafted a guy in Anthony Schwartz. Fail. He didn't do it. And by the way, when you know you make a mistake, you compound the mistake when you don't move on from mistake. And Anthony Schwartz
has to be gone.
A mistake. Now. It was obvious before the season started he was a mistake. Move on from
100%.
it. I know the media is going to be talking to Barry and Stefanski later this afternoon. If any media members that are going to be at this news conference are present, please, for the sake of all Cleveland fans, please get to the bottom of this mystery. What the hell is Paul DePodesta's role in this franchise? What does he do? How much sway does he have? Does he have input on the actual offensive game plan?
Yeah.
Because
I don't think he does. I know other people think
there
he
are
does.
people that cover the league that thinks he absolutely does, and they think he has too much.
I think there's an agenda within the league because he's an analytics guy and they don't like it, and it was just like the baseball people were paranoid. I don't think he has anything to do with the game planning. However, the rest of that is completely fair, but they would never answer it, so it's going to be, I
Pin
think
him
the
down.
question obviously should be asked,
Bull.
but they're not going to answer it.
No, they probably won't, and
Yeah.
I hope they answer it because let's transition to the one name.
By the way, real quick,
Yeah.
now I don't believe DePodesta is involved with the day-to-day of the game plan of the offense. If he is, this organization's screwed, and they have no chance.
I'm afraid that he is,
Yeah.
only because people that I respect and trust that cover the league tell me he is.
And why?
That's a disaster.
And that is a disaster if it's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah,
And
100%.
here's my thing too, man. If I'm at the press conference and I'm sitting there, I'd be pissed off because you didn't answer none of my questions all freaking year. If you can't answer my questions about the game plan, what happened, we got another one in front of us, we got to go out there and put our foot forward. I'm not about to sit here and have you patronize me in front of this press conference at the end of the
Is
year.
Jason at the press conference, do we know?
Ask
That's at
something.
3:30.
I would think so.
That's
text
the only
him. I'll
hope,
ask
because the
him.
rest of these guys, they're worried about losing their job.
What do you do?
Having that connection.
What do you do? What do you guys do?
Yeah.
I've seen you do nothing. These guys will get paid millions to sit up here.
One of them's being paid millions and doesn't live in the state.
Don't even live here.
That is.
I'm
never like
sorry.
that.
I'm sorry.
That's
For
sick.
1 second, I'm going to
Yeah.
start the one name blame
That's
game.
sick.
Yeah.
Jimmy Haslam. Period. Full stop. Jimmy Haslam. End of story.
Yeah.
Now, even if I was to go too deep, which that's not the exercise, I'm blaming Jimmy Haslam because we're in the Paul DePodesta position that we're in. He's been hoodwinked by Paul DePodesta. Go check his credentials when he was a baseball general manager. He wasn't a winner. He didn't win anywhere he was.
No championship. They talk about
Nothing.
Moneyball.
Nothing. No, Moneyball was about one playoff appearance.
The A's did what?
Nothing. And by the way, they had a Cy Young staff, a staff loaded with Cy Young candidates and an MVP shortstop.
I ain't never
but when you
seen-
watch the movie, it was all about Scott Hatterberg. That's the biggest pile of BS I've ever seen.
I ain't never seen
Moneyball
that like it.
was
Oh, and-
a Hollywood creation with all kinds of liberty.
movie, though.
And great movie, but you have to understand going into it that it's a bunch of crap. And I think Jimmy Haslam bought into this mythology that Paul DePodesta is this guy who's going to figure out how to peel an apple a different way. It hasn't worked. He's been here long enough. It hasn't worked. Now, I'm not crapping on analytics, Bull. I know you think I do. I'm not. What I'm looking for is the right marriage between analytics and gut and feel. And right now, this franchise is too entrenched in the analytics.
Well, I think that's true. I
want a balance.
I think the problem was they had a group when DePodesta was first here, and they had Hugh Jackson. And
they didn't buy in at all.
They didn't even use it. They ignored
get
it.
that.
They weren't interested in it. What's his name? Who was the GM?
Dorsey wasn't.
Dorsey Brown.
Dorsey was
Total meathead, not
Right.
interested. And now they've gone too far the other way. I brought this up before.
You nailed it.
I brought this up before. Theo Epstein said, I didn't become a good general manager until I realized that I had to mix the X's and the O's with the Jimmies and the Joes, essentially.
Yeah.
Right? It has to be a mix.
And by the way,
anybody
Theo
that
is-
wants it 100% here, 100%, much like politics, if you want to be here, you're probably an idiot.
You're right.
If you want to
in
be
the
here,
middle is where you
you're
want to live.
probably smart.
And Bull, that's a great point because the analytics movement, the birth of analytics, the real birth of analytics in sports was Billy Beane and Paul DePodesta.
yeah.
They falsely got all the credit. Theo Epstein is the guy that figured it out.
Yes.
He figured it out by ending an all-time long drought in Boston and bringing a title to the Red Sox. Then he went to the Cubs, the longest drought in baseball, and he ended that drought. How did he do it? What you just said.
So, let
He
me-
figured
it was a
out
mix.
that the numbers are hugely important, but you cannot ignore the other stuff. And when he embraced all of it, that's where you want to be.
You have to
Let
go
me-
the
let-
heart
and
and the
Jimmy
head.
is way too in on Paul
let me say
DePodesta, so
this.
he's my one name blame
Let me say
game.
this. First of all, every sport is not the same.
No.
And
not.
there's not a 50-50 marriage out here. The predominant factor in any sport is this. You have to understand and recognize what talent is. You have to know what talent is. It is not in the books. It's not in the film. You have to know it when you see it.
Not Anthony Schwartz's 40
right,
time.
Right. It is not that. Now you take that knowledge and mirror it with a percentage. I don't know what the number is, but it ain't 50-50.
Right.
Right? And bleed that into that. Now you can get some ground.
Do you think it's more gut and feel and eyeballs than analytics?
Yeah, because you have to be able to recognize it on the fly when things aren't going right. I don't need to go to the book to see it's trending right. My eyes tell me it's not trending right.
And we've lost that.
Right. And so you have to bleed
who's your
that in with the
one-name blame game?
Oh, just for the running of the show? It's Stefanski.
For the 2023 season, you're Stefanski.
It's Stefanski.
Okay, so he's got 2 votes.
Oh, that's easy. You shouldn't even ask me. The S on the chest, Stefanski. What you talking about, man? These guys,
Okay.
you lost people like I've been saying for years. You kept Joe Woods, you could have fired him during the year, right? When you didn't fire him during the year, Clowney comes out and he throws a grenade right in your locker room. And players around the league are going to say, why am I coming to Cleveland? We back to overpaying people now. Because the people that they respect, the veterans, the top-notch guys, Jarvis, Odell, Jadeveon Clowney,
just killed you out in the market.
Kareem Hunt.
Just killed you.
They're like, don't go to Cleveland.
Don't do that.
Because they're not going to put you in position to make plays. And then if you rock the boat, they're going to get you up out of here.
That's the worst reputation you can have. Bull, your one-name blame game?
Real quick, in fairness, I don't think Kareem Hunt would say that. I don't think he's got any ill will on the Browns.
His father might.
And Clowney's a clown. I mean, Myles Garrett was killing him on Friday. Clowney's a clown. He gets no credibility. And nobody respects him. He's a clown.
That's from
Odell and Jarvis, I agree with.
But that's from your perspective.
It's from Myles Garrett's perspective, too.
But that's from the perspective.
Those 4 names have cachet.
They got
Hunt,
them names.
Clowney, Jarvis, and OBJ.
But I don't think Hunt has bad feelings about the Browns.
Sure he does. He said he wanted to retire here. They didn't return his calls. He held out.
And yesterday he
hold
sounded
out.
like
Yes,
a guy who was.
He left practice and said, I'm not practicing.
Yeah, but gee, what were they supposed to do? So they didn't pay him? That makes them wrong? I don't think they did anything wrong to
They
him.
not only didn't pay him,
They
didn't,
saved his
Hold
career.
on,
They did, because he's going to
They
go
saved
somewhere
his
else now
career.
and be
Come
used
on.
properly.
But guess what?
No, they're going to save his career the second time by letting him go.
Somebody else is going. They didn't pay him and they didn't play him.
They shouldn't have paid him.
Bull,
Why
who's
should they
your,
have
who's
paid
your
him?
one-name blame
Go
game?
ahead.
Right.
One
They
name
shouldn't have
blame
paid him.
game is for this year Jimmy Haslam was ultimately the man to blame. For this year, I'm going to blame Joe Woods because ultimately, as bad as we picked. I know I picked when the Watson suspension came down. I picked the Browns to go 8-9. But had I known at that time that Jacoby Brissett would play, I never thought Jacoby Brissett would play as well as he did. Now, he wasn't great every game, but for the most part, over 11 games, Jacoby Brissett played good football.
He did.
Good, solid football. And the Browns should have won a lot more than 7 games.
They should have been. They could have been 7-4.
They should have easily won 10 games this year, the way he played. But their defense was so awful that they didn't. Okay. And, some of it was a couple, the Jets thing. We all know the Chargers, what happened there. The Falcons game earlier in the year.
McNuggets, you got a one-name blame game?
I'm kind of with Bull, actually. I think Joe Woods, yes, it goes way up the tree, and Stefanski's in charge of Joe Woods, but I think Bull nailed it.